Imagine holding a tiny piece of American history, worn, darkened with age, yet priceless in the eyes of collectors. The 1809 U.S. 1-cent coin is more than just copper. It's a doorway into the early years of a young nation. Today we're diving deep into the legacy, design, and value of this remarkable coin. The year 1809 marked a turning point for U.S. coinage. Before this date, the nation had already experimented with several designs for its 1-cent coins, including the drip dust cent. But in 1809, the U.S. Mint introduced something new, the classic head cent, designed by John Reich, a German-born engraver who had immigrated to America. This design would only last until 1814, making it one of the shortest-lived cent types in American history. That short run has made the 1809 cent especially attractive to numismatists today. On the obverse or front of the coin, you'll find a portrait of Lady Liberty facing left. Her hair is tied with a fillet, a band inscribed with the word Liberty, a style reminiscent of classical Roman art. This is why collectors call it the classic head. Surrounding Liberty are 13 stars representing the original 13 colonies. At the bottom you'll see the date, 1809, a reminder that this coin was struck over 200 years ago, when James Madison had just become the 4th President of the United States. The reverse features a bold wreath encircling the words 1 cent. Around the edge, the legend United States of America is inscribed, with the value clearly displayed at the center. It's simple, elegant, and unmistakably early American. To understand the importance of the 1809 cent, we need to picture the era it came from. The United States was still a young republic, barely 3 decades old. The nation was preparing for the War of 1812. Tensions with Britain were rising, and the economy was struggling. Copper, the main metal in cents, was in short supply. The mint often had to rely on private suppliers for copper planchets, the blank discs used to strike coins. Because of this, production numbers fluctuated from year to year. In 1809, just 202 1867 cents were minted, a relatively low number compared to later years. This scarcity adds to the coin's desirability today. The 1809 classic head cent wasn't just rare because of its mintage. It was also struck during a time when the Philadelphia Mint, the only mint in operation, was struggling with technology. Presses were operated by hand, and strikes often came out uneven. Many surviving 1809 cents show weak spots, especially on the obverse. Additionally, copper was prone to corrosion, meaning that finding well-preserved examples is extremely difficult. All of these factors, low mintage, fragile material, and production issues, make the 1809 cent a true prize in the world of coin collecting. The appeal of the 1809 cent lies in both its history and its challenge. Coin collectors often build sets of large cents, and the classic head series is one of the most difficult to complete. Since it only spans from 1808 to 1814, each date in the series is significant, but the 1809 stands out as the second year of issue and one of the tougher dates to find in high grades. Even lower grade examples with heavy wear are sought after by collectors who want a piece of early U.S. history. Grading plays a major role in determining the value of any coin, but especially for early copper. A well-worn 1809 cent might show only a faint outline of Liberty's head and barely visible lettering. These are considered good condition, and can still fetch impressive prices. Coins with sharper detail, where Liberty's hair and the wreath on the reverse are clear, fall into fine F, or very fine VF categories. These are much rarer and far more valuable. The real treasures are coins in extremely fine XF, or even mint state MS condition. Because of the minting issues and the age of these coins, such examples are scarce and command thousands of dollars at auction. So how much is an 1809 US cent worth today? A heavily worn example might bring in hundreds. Mid-grade coins can range from $800 to $2,000, depending on detail and eye appeal. High-grade certified examples, especially those with original red or red-brown coloring, can sell for $10,000. In fact, in recent years, some pristine specimens of the 1809 cent have reached over $20,000 at auction. That's the power of rarity, condition, and history combined. The 1809 1-cent piece is more than just old money. It tells the story of a nation in transition, still shaping its identity while facing political and economic challenges. The classic head design represents a shift toward neoclassical art, reflecting the influence of European culture on early American coinage. It also reminds us of the struggles of the mint, limited resources, primitive technology, and the difficulty of producing coins in a young, growing country. Each surviving 1809 cent carries these stories within its copper surface. For collectors, early large cents like the 1809 are not just about value, they are about connection. When you hold one of these coins, you're touching the same copper that passed through the hands of early Americans, farmers, merchants, and pioneers. These coins were used in everyday transactions, buying food, paying for tools, or even tipping at a tavern. Every dent, scratch, and worn surface tells a story of survival through centuries. If you're lucky enough to own an 1809 cent, preservation is key. Copper is extremely reactive, and improper storage can damage the coin. Collectors are advised to keep coins in a cool, dry environment. Use protective holders or slabs to prevent contact with air and oils from the skin. Avoid cleaning the coin, as this can reduce its value drastically. With proper care, an 1809 cent can last for many more generations, carrying history forward. The 1809 United States 1-cent coin may be small, but its impact is immense. It embodies the artistry of John Reich, the challenges of the early mint, and the resilience of a young America. From its simple yet powerful design to its rarity and high auction values, the 1809 cent continues to capture the imagination of collectors worldwide. Whether you see it as a financial investment, a piece of art, or a symbol of history, this coin proves that even the smallest objects can hold the greatest stories. So next time you look at a penny, remember, in 1809 it wasn't just pocket change. It was the very fabric of a growing nation. Did you know that a tiny copper coin in your drawer could be worth over $1 million? The US 1-cent coin, often overlooked, has a history filled with war, mystery, and million-dollar rarities. Before you toss it aside, stop. That penny might just change your life. When you think of treasure, your mind probably pictures gold bars, diamond rings, or ancient relics buried beneath desert sands. But some of the greatest hidden treasures in America can fit right into your pocket. The humble 1-cent coin. The US penny, seemingly worthless in today's economy, actually carries a rich legacy, one forged in revolution, shaped by politics, and prized by collectors to the tune of millions. The birth of the American penny, 1793. The story of the US 1-cent coin begins shortly after the birth of the nation. In 1792, the Coinage Act laid the foundation for the U.S. Mint and introduced the dollar system. Just 1 year later, in 1793, the first official 1-cent coin was struck, an artifact known as the flowing hair, large cent. This coin was significantly larger than today's penny, nearly the size of a modern half-dollar, and it bore the face of liberty, with long flowing hair, a bold symbol of the new republic. Minted in Philadelphia, the 1793 penny was revolutionary, not only in its design but in its message. It marked the first time a nation had struck coins declaring liberty on them, with no royal figure. These early coins were made of pure copper, giving them a reddish-brown hue that darkened with time. Interesting fact: a well-preserved 1793 flowing hair, large cent, sold for $1.38 million at auction. Why? Because only about 35,000 were ever minted, and fewer than 300 remain in any collectible condition today. From Liberty to Lincoln, a shift in iconography. For the first 116 years of its existence, The US 1-cent coin featured symbols of liberty, goddesses, wreaths, eagles, and shields. But never a real person. That changed in 1909, when President Theodore Roosevelt commissioned sculptor Victor David Brenner to redesign the penny in honor of Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. Thus, the Lincoln wheat cent was born, featuring the 16th President of the United States on the obverse and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse. It was the first time an actual historical figure appeared on a regular issue U.S. coin. Many Americans were outraged at the time, considering it too monarchical to depict leaders on currency, yet Lincoln's image endured. Interesting fact: in 1909, the very first Lincoln cents included Brenner's initials, VDB, prominently on the reverse. Public criticism over the initials being too bold caused the mint to pull the design after just a few weeks. Today, the rare 1909 SVDB penny, struck in San Francisco, is one of the most sought-after coins in the world. A high-grade version can fetch over $100,000, with one pristine example auctioned for $258 in The War Years: Steel Pennies and Copper Confusion, 1943. World War II was a period of dramatic change even for the penny. As copper was urgently needed for bullets and wiring, the U.S. Mint made a dramatic pivot in 1943. That year it issued pennies made of zinc-coated steel. These steel cents were lighter, shinier, and unlike anything Americans had seen in their change. But here's where things get interesting. At the start and end of that year, a few pennies were accidentally struck using copper planchets, left over from previous years. These rare 1943 bronze cents are the holy grail of coin collecting. Interesting fact: only about 15 of the 1943 bronze Lincoln cents are known to exist. One sold at auction in 2010 for $1.7 million. That's right, one penny worth over $1 million. And here's the kicker: there are still rumors of more undiscovered examples floating around in everyday collections. Modernization and the memorial years: 1959. Mint replaced the wheat stalks with the Lincoln Memorial to mark the 50th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The design stayed largely the same for nearly 5 decades, making the Lincoln Memorial cent one of the most common designs in U.S. history. Yet even within this era, rare varieties emerged that are now worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to collectors. Interesting fact: in 1969, a counterfeit operation produced fake double-die pennies meant to mimic a rare error. Ironically, a real 1969's double-die obverse exists, and it's worth a fortune. These coins display extreme doubling in the word liberty and in God we trust. Only a few dozen genuine ones exist, and one recently sold for over $1. The Copper Crisis and the Zinc Revolution, 1982. For much of its life, the penny was made primarily from copper, but by 1982 the rising cost of the metal made it more expensive to produce a penny than the coin's face value. As a result, the mint quietly transitioned from 95% copper to a copper-plated zinc composition. However, because the switch happened mid-year, there are 7 different types of 1982 pennies, making it a confusing yet exciting year for collectors. Interesting fact: in 2019, a collector found a 1982 small date copper penny, previously thought to be a myth. The U.S. Mint had only documented the small date design in zinc form, not copper. This off-the-record minting error sold for $118,800. Mint released 4 special reverse designs, depicting different stages of his life, from log cabin to presidency. These coins, although common in circulation, have some low mintage collectible versions, especially in uncirculated or proof condition. Interesting fact: the 2009 satin finish Lincoln pennies, minted for collectors in special sets, are particularly valuable in high grades. A Lincoln Presidency satin finish penny, graded MS69 RD, once sold for over The Union Shield 2010 present. Since 2010, the penny's reverse has featured a Union Shield, symbolizing national unity. While these modern coins are not yet worth much individually, certain era coins such as off-center strikes, double dies and die clashes already sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars among collectors. Interesting fact, a 2017 P. Lincoln Shield cent marked the first time the Philadelphia Mint added a P mint mark to a penny. This commemorative change, celebrating the Mint's 2,205th anniversary, makes the coin a collector's novelty. $1,000,000 pennies, true rarities that stun the world. Let's take a moment to spotlight some of the most valuable pennies ever sold. 1943 D copper penny, sold for $1.7 million. 1793 chain cent, mint state, sold for $1.38 million. 99 SVDB Lincoln cent, MS67 sold for $2,500. 1944 steel penny, minted in era. Fewer than 30 exist, worth $100,000. These aren't just coins, they're historical artifacts, forged in times of war, economic struggle, and political transformation. And many of them were found by ordinary people checking their spare change. A penny for your future. So the next time you see a penny on the ground, don't pass it by. That copper glimmer could be more than spare change. It might be a relic of history, or even a millionaire's secret. The US 1-cent coin is proof that even the smallest things can hold the greatest value. Whether it's a coin from the 18th century or a mint error from just a decade ago, every penny has a story, and some of those stories are worth a fortune. This tiny copper penny from 1988 could make you a millionaire. It looks like any ordinary coin, but rare versions of the 1988 Lincoln Memorial cent have sold for over $1 million. That's not a myth. It's the truth hiding in plain sight. Whether it's a secret mint error, a mysterious design flaw, or a freak of US mint production, some 1988 pennies have made collectors and everyday people rich. What makes this simple 1-cent piece worth a fortune? Stay exactly where you are, because you might already own one and not even know it. A common coin with uncommon potential. The 1988 Lincoln Memorial cent was part of a long-running series of US 1-cent coins, featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. First minted in 1959, this reverse design ran until 2008, making it one of the most widely recognized American coins. In 1988 alone, over 11 billion Lincoln cents were produced across 3 US-cent mint locations. Philadelphia, no mint mark. Denver, marked with a D, and San Francisco, proof coins marked with an S. But within those billions of coins lie a small number of extraordinary mint errors, rare die varieties, and perfectly preserved examples that have shocked collectors and sold for incredible sums. While most 1988 cents are worth face value, a select few are worth thousands, and in rare cases, millions. The $1 million variety, 1988 reverse of 1989 error. One of the most fascinating and valuable errors in the 1988 Lincoln cent series is known as the 1988 reverse of 1980. It's subtle but groundbreaking. In 1989, the U.S. Mint changed the reverse design slightly. Specifically the FG initials, representing designer Frank Gaspereau, located to the right of the Lincoln Memorial base. In the standard 1988 cent, the initials are separated clearly and sharply, but in the transitional error known as the 1988 with reverse of 1989, the initials appear in the new, altered style meant for the following year. This tiny die variety is extremely rare and was caused when the mint accidentally used a 1989 reverse die to strike some 1988 dated coins. These cents are mostly found in Philadelphia minted coins, no mint mark, and a handful of certified examples have sold for as much as $3,000 to $25,000, depending on grade. Now here's the game changer. Expert collectors speculate that a full red, high-grade MS-68 example of this transitional variety that easily reach $100,000 or more at auction. And if a proof-like specimen or an unreported double denomination example with this reverse emerges, it could break the $1 million mark, especially with today's rising collector demand. Off-metal and double denomination errors. 1988 also saw several remarkable off-metal errors, where Lincoln cents were struck on blanks intended for foreign coins or different U.S. denomination. These include 1988 pennies struck on dime planchettes, which appear silver in color, are underweight, and smaller in size. One verified 1988 D cent struck on a copper nickel dime planchette sold for over. Even more spectacular are double denomination errors, where a coin is struck first as one denomination, then struck again with another die. In rare cases, a Lincoln cent was struck over a Roosevelt dime or a Jefferson nickel. These bizarre hybrid coins are visually stunning and extremely rare. A verified 1988 double denomination error is estimated to be worth between $80,000 and $150,000. With potential to fetch $1 million if combined with other rare features or historical importance. The die clash phenomenon. One particularly desirable type of mint error seen in 1988 is the die clash. This occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette in between, leaving ghost-like images of one side on the opposite side's die. The result is a coin with unusual and eerie design elements. For example, Lincoln's image bleeding into the memorial, or parts of the reverse appearing beneath his chin. While common in lower grades, sharply defined 1988 die clash cents in mint state condition are rare. A strong die clash from 1988 sold for $1,200, and coins with extreme clash marks have reached $5,000 and up, especially when combined with off-center strikes or uncirculated brilliant, high-grade mint state cents, where condition creates value. While most 1988 pennies are worth just a cent, their value can skyrocket when they're in mint state condition, especially at the highest level. These are coins that were never used in circulation. No scratches, no wear, just full, original red luster. Grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC Numismatic Guarantee Company grade coins on a 1 to 70 scale. Coins graded MS-65 and above start to climb in value, but the big money starts at MS-67 red and MS-68 red. A 1988 D Lincoln cent graded MS-68 red sold for $5,875. And only a handful of examples exist at this elite level. Experts say that a perfect MS-69 red, if one were ever graded, could become the most valuable 19. Add a rare error to that grade, and you have a serious contender for seven-figure value. Proof, coins, and San Francisco rarities. The San Francisco Mint produced proof versions of the 1988 Lincoln cent for collectors. These coins have mirror-like surfaces, frosted details, and are carefully struck to be perfect. Proof coins are graded as PR proof, and the most desirable examples are labeled PR70 Deep Cameo, DCM. 1988's proof cents, graded PR70 DCM, have sold for $1,000 to $2,500. While common in lower grades, the population of PR70 DCMs is very low. Their flawless surfaces and pristine quality make them a key prize for registry set collectors. Interestingly, there have also been minting anomalies in some 1988's proofs, including light doubling and mechanical doubling effects. Though subtle, these varieties attract serious collector interest and have occasionally sold for $5,000 or more when certified and well documented. Struck through errors and die caps. Other rare errors in the 1988 series include struck through debris and die cap errors. In struck through errors, foreign material such as grease or wire gets between the planchette and the die, causing parts of the design to be missing, distorted, or ghostly. These errors are rare, but highly collectible. A dramatic 1988 cent struck through cloth fiber sold for $3,200. A 1988 die-cap penny is virtually unheard of in the wild. And if one were found in pristine condition, it could be among the most valuable Lincoln Memorial cents ever, potentially breaching 6 or even 7 figures if sold at a high-profile auction. Foreign planchet errors. Due to the U.S. Mint's production of foreign coins in the 1980s, planchets meant for other countries occasionally ended up in U.S. penny presses. Some 1988 Lincoln cents have been discovered struck on Canadian cent, Bahamas, or Peruvian coin planchet. These error coins often weigh less or have a different tone or sound when dropped. One 1988 Lincoln cent struck on a Guatemalan planchet sold for $9,000. And another mystery metal example believed to be a foreign error remains unclassified, currently estimated to be worth over If a 1988 penny is discovered on an unlisted foreign blank, its value would skyrocket instantly. Color varieties and rainbow toning. The 1988 penny, being made from copper-plated zinc, is prone to unusual chemical reactions, especially when exposed to heat, moisture, or chemicals. Some coins naturally develop rainbow toning, with purple, blue, and gold hues dancing across the surface. When this occurs naturally and the coin remains in mint state condition, it becomes highly collectible. One rainbow-toned 1988 Lincoln cent, graded MS-67 red-brown, sold for $7. Artificially toned coins are rejected by grading companies, so naturally toned examples that pass authentication are valuable and becoming harder to find. Understanding transitional errors and the 1982-1989 shift. From 1982 onward, the U.S. Mint transitioned from copper to zinc-based planchet. By 1988, virtually all pennies were copper-plated zinc, weighing 2.5 grams. However, transitional errors involving leftover copper planchets have surfaced in other years, and some believe there may be undiscovered 1988 pennies struck on old 3/8 copper blanks from pre-1982 stock. If a true 1988 copper planchet error is authenticated by weight and metal testing, its value could break $100,000 due to its link to one of the most significant transitions in U.S. coin history. This is a treasure yet to be confirmed, but the potential is real. What to look for? Collector's checklist for 1988 pennies. If you're checking your own 1988 pennies, here's what could make yours valuable. Weigh it. Should be 2.5 oddity a meteor. Look at the FG initials. If they match the you have a key transitional variety. Check for doubling in the date or liberty. Look at the color. Strong red or rainbow-toned surfaces are more valuable. Inspect the coin's edges and size. Off-center or wrong planchet coins may look or feel different. Look for ghost images, caps, or strange textures, signs of die clashes or struck through debris. Send suspect coins to PCGS or NGC for grading and authentication. With attention to detail, you could uncover a hidden gem right in your pocket. Coins from 1988, especially those with rare errors or pristine condition, remain one of the most exciting and profitable segments of U.S. coin collecting.